When life dribbles you, it don't care who you are. It dribbles you when it decides it's your turn now. It's like, I'm coming to your door. Go. When life dribbles you, ni hao and welcome to the lounge. So today we'll be talking about, well, you can see down below, when life dribbles you. I'll be drinking milk for this one. When life dribbles you, mntase. We'll be talking about that. And with me, I've got a guest, and my guest today is my journal. I actually wrote down some stuff, some notes, just a few points that I'd like us to go through on how to deal with life dribbling with you, because life don't care who you are, it will dribble with you. What? Life will. I'm definitely drinking milk for this one. So we all know sometimes life happens to all of us. There's no exemption, and it's important that we actually look at some techniques on how we can actually deal with some dribbling from life. Okay, all right, let's get to it. Okay, so this video was actually not planned. We're going to be talking about when life dribbles you, as you have seen in the title below. I'll be drinking what's this, milk, yeah, and Fanta. I actually started this habit. I don't know, it's a bad habit, I don't like it, but recently what I do, I always drink like a lot of stuff at the same time. I'll have water, I'll have milk, I'll have cool drink and coffee at the same time. I don't know why I do that. So today I'll only be drinking water and some Fanta. This is a Chinese Fanta. It actually tastes different. It tastes different from the South African Fanta, but it's still Fanta. I like it. I really, really love it actually. So I'm sorry. I'll be drinking this, and I hope you will not be distracted by this, but yes. So we'll be talking about when life dribbles you. Sometimes life dribbles you. There's no one who's exempted. It happens to everyone. I was speaking with a friend recently. I'm like, you know what, sometimes life dribbles you, and when life dribbles you, it don't care who you are. It don't care. You're like, life, do you know who I am? And it's actually interesting that literally no one is exempted. It does not look at where you are coming from, who you are, where you are going, how much money you have in your bank account. If you have those coins, it don't care. It just don't care. It dribbles you when it decides it's your turn now. It's like, I'm coming to your door, I'm coming to your bedroom, I'm coming to your lounge. It just comes for you, which is really interesting. But I think for me, that's what I found interesting and beautiful about life. The fact that we are all not exempted from it. Okay, fine. So I was speaking with this friend. So today will be a little bit of storytelling. I was speaking with this friend, and I'm thinking, I'm telling the friend, it's interesting that life does not care who you are. When it decides to dribble you, it comes at your doorstep without you even inviting life. Life. Okay, so I was just saying how interesting that it don't even care about your citizenship. You're like, okay, fine, I get it, you don't care about the other stuff, but what about my citizenship? Girl, I'm a citizen of heaven. One day I am going to heaven to be with my Father who created this whole universe, and life will be like, I don't care, I'm coming for you. And you're like, my daddy is daddy. God, do you know who my daddy is? So it does. It's not nice when it happens. It's really, really not nice. But it's the reality of life, and I think it's important that you don't take life too seriously, but at the same time take it seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously, but at the same time take yourself seriously. Your emotions are valid, so you might feel emotional at times, you might feel hurt, you might feel however way that you are feeling, and that's okay, that's valid. You're entitled to feel like that. So it's important to actually not be in denial of how you're feeling, to actually sit down and say, this is how I'm feeling, this is how this whole situation is making me feel, then what do I do next? It's important that we first start there. Well, one of the things that I find very important, but it depends from person to person. For me, for example, when it gets too tough, I don't usually cry, but when it gets too tough, girl, I'll make sure that I cry. I actually plan my crying sometimes. I'm kidding. But I cry. So sometimes it's important to actually sit down and cry. If you feel your heart is hurting, cry if you feel like crying, unless you don't feel like crying, of course. So yes, but one of the main things is to firstly acknowledge how you are feeling, acknowledge your pain, sit down with yourself and reflect. Say, okay, this is the situation, this is how it's making me feel, because sometimes life does not go, most of the times life does not go the way that we hope it would go, or the way that we plan, according to our plans. And that's life. It happens, and it happens to everyone, and from time to time it will happen, and from time to time we will be hurt, and from time to time our plans will not actually materialize the way that we had imagined or the way that we had planned, although it's important to still plan, of course. So it happens, life happens to everyone, no one is exempted. So yeah, it's important that when life happens, you actually sit down with yourself and say, this happened to me, this is the situation. You look at the situation and you're like, okay, how do I deal with the situation? How do I deal with it? But before you even think on how you can deal with it, acknowledge that this situation makes me feel like this. Why does it make me feel like this? For example, you and I can actually go through the same thing, but how we respond to it could be differently, or how it affects us could be differently. Because the triggers that actually influence how we feel about stuff. And I don't even know what I was saying. I got distracted by a call. Okay, I really don't know what I was saying. I got distracted by a call. Okay, so as I said, I'll be drinking milk. So I actually want to share something. So recently I went through something that I felt was really interesting. You know those things in life where you've always thought they would never happen to you. Not that you think you're special or not, or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. But you just never thought it would happen to you. So this thing happened to me. And I'm like, I did not see this one coming. Like, hello, like, really? So it happened to me. It happened to me. And it happened to me. And yes. So yeah, it made me feel some certain well and stuff. But yeah, so it happened to me, and I remember talking to a friend. I'm like, friend, this happened to me. Hello, happened to me. But anyway, so as I said, one of the first thing that you want to do when life dribbles you, you want to sit down with yourself. I know it's very easy to get up and running and try to avoid the problem. Sometimes it's very easy to do that, and sometimes we do that a lot. But I think it's very important to actually sit down with yourself, because it's important that you actually deal with stuff and you don't put them under the carpet. I feel like sometimes when you just on the go and you just hope that things will vanish into the air. Why is my I've got a bump here because I made protective hairstyle. I've got a twist, and it's a thick one. So please never mind that. Okay, so sit down with yourself. Sit down, reflect. What was the situation? If it's something that you had planned and did not go your way, you sit down. Why didn't it go your way? Why did it go the way that it did? And sometimes you might not even have answers, and that's okay. But try and analyze the situation. Try and reflect. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? Could you have done things differently? Just sit down and reflect. It's very important. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. I cannot stress that enough. Be honest with yourself on what did you do, what did you not do, what was your role to play, and how did it make you feel. Sometimes it's not even about doing right or doing wrong, but how this situation made us feel. For example, what I was going through, it's not necessarily the situation itself, because I feel like I'm the one who had certain thoughts around the situation that were not really good for me, as a result that put me to the place that I was in. So, and I felt really dribbled by life. I'm like, life, you've dribbled me before, but now you are getting personal. Okay, anyway. So yes, you sit down with yourself and you reflect. It's very, very important, and it's gonna help you next time when you go through something, and you will learn, okay, this is what I did the last time, this is what I've learned, and you learn to apply what you have learned, because it's very important that you learn. Very, very important. Anyway, so don't be hard on yourself, and don't take life personal. Don't take it personal. Life happens to all of us. It happens to everybody. I know, for example, some people, when I'll mention this as an example, some people when they get saved, they think, life will be perfect, I won't go through stuff. But you do go through stuff. Even when you are saved, you go through stuff. Life will dribble you, and it's part of life. It happens to everyone. You are not exempted because you're born again. No, you're not exempted because of any other reason. But what I can say, though, if you're born again, is that there is something nice about it, because now you've got a comforter. But the Holy Spirit is your comforter. He comforts you, he helps you, he guides you. So as much as sometimes your heart might be hurting, but you have someone who will comfort you at all times, who's always available to do that for you, who's always willing to comfort you. He's just there for that, and also you have peace that surpasses all understanding. The Bible tells us that God gives peace that surpasses all understanding. So you have peace that sometimes things might go southwest, east, north around you, but you have peace that surpasses all understanding. Well, personally, what I do, sometimes life would happen to me, and if I'm hurt, I'd sit down with myself and I'd be like, Lord, it hurts so much. I'd cry to God. I've learned the power and the strength in being vulnerable to him, that this has hurt me, and this is the reason. Sometimes I don't even know the reason. I don't know, but I'd say to him, this hurts me so much, but I have peace within me, and it does not mean that I don't trust you enough or anything like that. It does not even change how I feel about you. It's just that it hurts so much, and there's so much power in that, actually acknowledging how it feels. And it does not mean that you do not trust God. It does not mean that you do not have hope. It does not mean that you are weak. Nope, it does not mean that. It's just important to be vulnerable to yourself, to God, and if you can, to those who are close to you. There's nothing wrong with that also. Well, people who are in my life, people who are close to me, they know. So now I talk. Even my friends know. I told them, life is dribbling right now, dribbling me right now. Even my mom and my brother, like my family would know. I do a group call. I'm like, life is dribbling me, and wow, I'm seeing flames. Even though sometimes I might not necessarily say what's going on, but I tell them life is dribbling me. Yeah. So another thing that you want to do, you want to forgive yourself when necessary. So sometimes we may be in situations where it's difficult for us to forgive ourselves. We blame ourselves for certain things to happen a certain way. Sometimes we may have something to do with the situation, and having the situation not coming out the way that we would have loved it to come out like. And it's okay. Sometimes we will make mistakes. Sometimes our decisions won't be the best decisions, and that's okay. It's okay. Sometimes we'll make mistakes, and that's really okay. And sometimes we can make decisions that are not good for ourselves or around the people around us, and sometimes we might even hurt people along the way, and it's okay. to forgive yourself. As long as you've sat down and you've acknowledged what has happened and all of that, then forgive yourself. If there's a need to forgive yourself, if in that situation you can see that you have not forgiven yourself and you are blaming yourself for some things, try to forgive yourself. It's very, very important. And forgive yourself. Change what you can. If there's something that you can change in order to make the situation better, do that. Do that. If there's nothing you can change, accept that there's nothing you can do about it. Move on. One of the things that I think it's difficult to do in life is to actually move on, because we can try to move on and still drag whatever with us. But now, don't drag whatever with you. Move on. Deal with it, sit down, deal with it, and move on. Forgive yourself and move on. Accept that there's nothing that you can do, if there's nothing that you can do, and move on. I cannot stress this enough. Move on. It's very important. So, yeah, lastly, this is my Proverbs 3 verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. So in everything in life, we trust in God with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. Do not try to understand the situation. Sometimes you might not understand the situations, and sometimes you might not even know what to do, and sometimes you will just not understand why things are happening the way that are happening, or they're not happening the way that you think they should happen, right? You will not always understand, and that's okay. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. It's important that you actually submit to him. Another version says submit to him instead of acknowledge. So submit to God. Say, this is the situation, this is how I'm feeling, this is how I'm thinking about the situation, but you know best, Lord, right? And I trust you with my life. I'm going to give this to you. And that's actually what I did with that situation. I'm like, I cried, I did all of these that I just mentioned, and I'm like, Lord, I give this to you. I don't know how to solve it, and clearly I haven't really done well in the situation, and I trust you. I trust you with my life. I trust you with everything concerning me. I think you are the best. I understand that you're you see things differently more than us, and you are wise. You have the best intentions for me, and right now I choose to trust you with all my heart and not rely on my own understanding. As much as I'd like to think of the situation like this way, but I choose to trust you and I choose to give this to you. So lastly, very important, put us save the best for the last. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. This is a promise, so it will happen. If you submit to him, if you trust in him with all your heart, he will direct your path. So that's it from me. I hope one day I'll get to share this story, because I think it's very funny, because it's a petty story, but it was very heavy for my heart, right? It's a very petty situation. One person would look at it and be like, are you serious? But for my heart, it was heavy, right? And I'm one person who's not scared of being vulnerable. Even the people around me, they know I'm strong, but at the same time, there are things that really hurt me that sometimes are even really small, right? So because of some things and some triggers and all of that around the situation. So yes, that's it from me, and I hope you find encouragement from this, and I hope you watch this at a time where you most need it, and hopefully one day you'll come back to it. And don't be too hard on yourself. No one has got this life figured out. No one has got the life figured out. It's important to trust in he who has it all figured out. He has it all figured out, and it's okay not to have it figured out. It's okay. It's really okay. If I could give you a hug right now, I'd give you a hug. This is me giving you a hug. I'm giving you a hug. Sis, it's okay. Bro, it's okay, man. It's okay. Really, it's okay. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video, for watching till the end. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content from Lou Lounge, please do subscribe. If you like this video, please click like down below. And if you'd like to see more content from Lou Lounge, please do hit the notification bell. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.